قال ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
MashaAllah.
And if we can please welcome Maulana Sheikh Muhammad Dhaini to deliver his majlis. Please do welcome him with a very loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك أيها البشير النذير والسراج المنير. السلام عليك وعلى ابنك المظلوم الشهيد أبا عبد الله الحسين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفناء. عليك منا سلام الله أبدا ما بقينا وبقي الليل والنهار. All together, brothers and sisters. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. عليك منا سلام الله. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. صلى على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل وسلم. Brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam, after the incident in the massacre of Karbala, she's in the courtyard of Yazid, Allah curse him, and she stands there. And of course, after what she's seen and what she's heard, what's been spoken about her father, what happened to her brothers, her family, Yazid asks her, he tells her, how do you see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done to your brother Hussein? He says, asking about her perception of all of that's going in her head, and your mind? He asks her. So of course, the bloody image of Karbala runs through her head, and she says, "Ma ra'aytu illa jamila." I saw nothing but beauty. Now, the question is, why did she say, "I saw nothing but beauty"? I mean, if it was us, any one of us, when you see these images, like the images of Karbala, a man that's been decapitated, a young boy who's, like we said in the first couple of nights, he looks like a porcupine because of how many arrows are embedded into his body. A child, a 6-month-old baby, who's also decapitated. When you come through and try to understand these images, you say, how is that beautiful? You know, it's actually a scary image. Where Sayyidina says it's beautiful. So there must be something special about Sayyidina and her perception. There's something that has to do with her perception. So inshallah tonight we'll understand, we'll try to analyze the concept of perception. How do we perceive things? If you may allow me, please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Firstly, I'll put forward a couple of questions. The first question, if I put in front of you a straight line or a curved line, and I ask you, what's more beautiful, a perfectly straight line or a curved line that's crooked? Normally, the answer would be, oh, it's a straight line because, you know, it's perfection. If I ask you another question, if I want to cut my hand off, or cut someone's hand off, is that a beautiful action? Is that a good action, or is that a bad action? Most people would say it's an ugly action, it's a bad action. Why would you cut someone's hand off? To make it more practical, if I come and ask you, what do you think about traffic lights? You know, some might say, oh, you know what, I have a bad experience with traffic lights. You know, a relative of mine passed away in a traffic light, or, you know, it slows me down. So I don't like traffic lights. See, the origin of each and every single one of these answers I just gave to the question is wrong. The way I began to answer the question is incorrect. Because when I answered each one of these questions, or the person answered each one of these questions, he looked at his certain or his specific scenario, his specific context, and he answered the questions. He didn't look through the wider scale, the wider image. He didn't look at the bigger picture. Because the straight line in itself, for example, cannot be categorized as good or bad. Because if I came and told you, alright, straight line, you say straight line, how about an eyebrow that was straight? If you had an eyebrow that was perfectly straight, you say that's ugly. Because now the context here is my eyebrow. And when it comes to the eyebrow, you want it curved, because curved is perfection in this scenario. When I come and tell you, oh, the man that I'm going to cut his hand off, he's got a certain illness, a certain sickness, that if I don't cut his hand off, he's going to die. You say, oh, please cut his hand off. The context has changed. When I look at traffic lights, for example, yes, it may slow me down. Yes, I might have had a bad experience with traffic lights. But on the wider scale of things, on the bigger image, the bigger picture, it has much more positive aspects than it has negative. It saves many car crashes, it saves many lives. Obeying it is extremely important. So, like we said, on the bigger image and on the larger scale, it's extremely important to look at each scenario and judge the scenario in its context. Look at the bigger picture. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, and I want you to bear with me here because it's a fair bit of ayat, from ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah 2, from ayah 30 to 33. He explains this concept beautifully through the story of Nabi Adam alayhi salam. Prophet Adam alayhi salam. He says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً قَالُوا أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيُسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ قَالَ إِنِّي أعلم ما لا تعلمون. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is coming and he towards them, the angels, and he tells them, I'm going to create a human being, I'm going to make Adam alayhi salam, I'm going to put him on earth, or I'm going to put him in the heavens. It says that the angels come and question him. Obviously, now when the angels come and question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not, oh, I'm questioning you because I question your wisdom. It's a question because I don't understand the answer. So when they come, and it's like a rhetorical question. So when they come and ask him, he says, you're going to create a being, you're going to create, because they can foresee, they can see the future. Because they don't live in this physical world. Angels aren't in this physical world, they're from the metaphysical world. So they don't abide by this time and space that we abide by. So when they look at the nature of the human being, and because each human is different, and because we like to fight a lot, unfortunately we have different desires, man is going to fight. There's going to be problems between each other. So they ask him, you're going to create a being, you're going to create a creation, it's going to shed blood, it's going to cause misery, it's going to massacre. And he says, I know what you do not know. إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Then he continues. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءُ كُلَّهَا. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to prove to the malaika, wants to prove to the angels that they're wrong. So he teaches Adam alayhi salam the names. Now the hadith translate the names as Fatima wa abiha wa ba'liha wa baniha. Allah sallallahu Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Fatima alayhi salam, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and Muhammad Hassan and Hussein. And the reason why is because he says ha'ula. And ha'ula is used for al-aqil, a being, man, human. وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها ثم عرضهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين. So he teaches Adam alayhi salam these names, and then he asks the angels, you claim that this man is going to shed blood and is going to fight and is going to... I just taught him names, tell me what these names are. Tell me, what are these names? And what do they say? They say, قالوا سبحانك لا علم لنا. But Allah, we do not know anything. لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Ya Allah, we know nothing except for what you have taught us. And because you haven't taught us the names, we don't know. And there must be a reason why you taught Adam alayhi salam and not us. So there must be a specialty about Adam alayhi salam that we have not foreseen. There must be a bigger picture that we did not look at. Then he tells, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to Adam alayhi salam. He says, قَالَ يَا آدَمْ أَنْبِئْهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ. Ya O Adam, tell them the names. Tell these angels the names that I taught you. And he says, فَلَمَّا أَنْبَأَهُمْ بِأَسْمَاءِ هَؤُلَاء. When he taught them the names, قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكُمْ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ غَيْبَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَأَعْلَمُ مَا تُبْدُونَ وَمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتُمُونَ. He says, after Adam alayhi salam taught the angels these names, and he told them the names, he tells them, did I not tell you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, did I not tell you I know what you do not know? I know the secrets of the heavens and the earth. Did I not tell you? So, because they didn't look at the bigger picture, they didn't look at the larger scale, they didn't understand the concept of Nabi Adam alayhi salam. They didn't understand the human aspect, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's image towards the humans and al-khalq, al-ins, it's much larger than the angels. So there must be a bigger picture. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches this concept through the Holy Quran, through Adam alayhi salam. Because when you want to come and look at a certain scenario, when you want to look at a picture, wait, don't analyze it on your scale, don't analyze it on your level. Don't look at the line and say, oh, I like it straight, before you know what it's for. Don't jump to a conclusion. There must be something that you have not understood yet. There must be something that you have not comprehended yet. There must be something that's hidden from you. Now all of this, why did I just mention all of this? Is so I can get to here. I want to speak about the concept of bala. Trials and tribulations. hardship. Why do we go through hardship? What is hardship? After we've established this concept of looking on the wider image or the wider picture, you look at hardship now, every type of hardship you can think of. When it comes to sickness, when it comes to being broke, when it comes to losing a family member, when it comes to losing a job, when it comes to divorce, when it comes to having a car accident, for example, when it comes to natural disasters. There must be a secret behind each and every single one of these hardships that are involved. For example, I remember when I was studying in high school, I had a subject called Earth and Environmental Science. I don't know if they teach it in the UK. And we learned about obviously Earth and the environment. So we're learning about tectonic plates and whatnot. And we understood and we learned that volcanoes are extremely important for this Earth to actually go on in its natural form and its natural way. The existence of volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis are extremely important. And that's what keeps the flow. Now the problem here, you told me there's a disadvantage of this. I'll tell you, yeah, if a person's close to it, they may die. But I'll tell you the positive of it and the advantage of it is you can't live without it. And obviously if you want to further your knowledge, go and read up on natural disasters, read up on volcanoes, read up on tectonic plates, extremely important. So the negative aspects of losing a loved one or being sick or it's clear, we understand the negative. There's no positive. I can't come and say, oh, I lost my son, for example, and I'm happy about it. No, it's a sad time, it's hard. It's a hard thing. I lost someone I love. So I don't want to talk about the negative aspects of this hardship or this trial that I'm going through. I want to look in a different way. I want to look in a different lens. I want to try and understand it from a different perspective. I want to come and look at this trial, this tribulation, from a positive aspect. How can I switch this scenario into a way, or to a way that I can benefit from? How can I switch this trial, this hardship, to a more positive experience? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If you look in history now, even modern day history, look at now, in our day and age. And many of the brothers that I've actually spoken to here have even proved this to me through just basic conversation. The only way you grow, for example, in business, the only way you grow in business is really when you go hard. When you're going through a hard time, when you're going through a hard, you always begin at a really rough spot. You never start easy, except for if you're like Donald Trump, or my dad gave me a small loan of $1 million, small loan. Unless you're going through a hard time, you won't even be able to taste the beauty of success. If you don't go through a hard time to achieve that success, you won't. And what is a hard time? A hard time is literally going through hardship, going through a trial, going through tribulation, being broke, being poor, going through the risk of losing everything. It's hard. And you find the most successful people, I'm talking on a business level, or on the akhirah level, the most successful, like for example Steve Jobs, all of these people, they come and tell you that I went through a very rough time. My life was extremely hard. I was adopted, for example, Steve Jobs, I was adopted and I went through from foster home to foster home to foster home. And my life in the beginning was so hard. And then towards the end of his life, he's got the most successful business in the world. Or one of the most successful businesses in the world. Apple. So it's, when it comes to, and I'll just give an example in business, on every aspect of life, on every level, when you do lose, for example, a loved one, you find that, yes, it may hurt you, but it strengthens you. When you do go through a certain surgery, or you do go through a certain sickness, or you do go through a certain car accident, or any accident, it hurts you, but it strengthens you. It teaches you. It makes you a more talented person, at the very least, on a level of experience. You can at least share a story. Another extremely important positive aspect of going through hardship is, and this is also something that I see almost everywhere I go, in every community, is when I go through hardship, it awakens me. It gives me a better view of my future, of my path. For example, when I see someone that goes through the whole, the stages of teenagehood, where you want to go clubbing, you want to go partying, you want to do drugs, and all these other unfortunate events that our youth may go through. When you go through this certain phase in your life, you find that I may be having fun, yes, I may be enjoying this time, okay, but I swear to you, I promise to God, wallahi, you will come to a time where you will be disgusted with yourself. And every single person that I know that's been through this phase in life has told me the exact same thing. I had a brother that came up to me and told me, Wallah, Muhammad, Wallah, I went through this life, and I was living the life of, having money and spending it, blowing it off on Friday nights and doing, etc., etc., etc. He says, but I swear to you, I felt empty at the end of it. It may sound fun, it may intrigue you, but it's a lie. And this lie is a hardship. Why? Mohammad says it beautifully. What does he say? He says there's two types of hardship in life. Hardships in life. There's two types of bala. And brothers and sisters, I want you to focus with me on this one. He says the first type of bala is the external bala. Which is the bala when it comes to money, the materialistic world, when it comes to my children, when it comes to sickness. This is hard, it's not an easy bala. It's a very hard hardship. But he says, what's the harder bala? And this is where the mu'mineen face troubles. This is where the mu'mineen, the believers, face a hard time. He says the real bala, the real hardship is where, he says, when you don't understand or you can't taste the sweetness of obedience towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he gives a beautiful story. He says, a man comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. A man comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi and tells him, he says, Ya Rasulullah, there's this man. He speaks about a specific person. This person has money, he's wealthy, he's rich, he has a family, he's successful, he's got everything. I don't see him going through bala, I don't see him going through a hard time, I don't see him going through whereas me, I have no money, I've got nothing, I'm going through a hard time, my life is, basically in the pits. He tells him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers. Rasulullah tells him, Ya Allah, why did you not burden? Why isn't there any trials on him? Why isn't there no bala? He says, sorry, my bad. This story is with Nabi Musa alayhi salam, not with the Holy Prophet. He says, Ya Musa, لَقَدْ أَبْلَيْتُهُ وَلَكِنَّهُ لَا يَشْعُرُ. He says, Ya Musa, I did put him through a trial, and he's still living through it right now. I did put him through a tribulation. He's still living through it right now, but he doesn't know. So what is this? He says, I salabtu minhu halawata ibadat. I took away from him the sweetness of obedience. When he prays, he doesn't taste the sweetness of salat. When he reads Quran, he doesn't taste the sweetness, or the specific book that they used to read at that time, Torah. So there are these internal trials and these internal tribulations are hard. So when a person goes through this phase in life, they want to do this partying and clubbing and whatnot. They don't understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken away from them the sweetness of obedience. And when they realize that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done that to them, they feel empty. Like a friend, for example, of mine saying, he told me, bro, once I was, and forgive me about Allah for saying this story on the Mamba, but it's important to understand what the brothers go through as well, to make it at least more practical in our lifetime. He says, bro, I was in a club one day, had done any drug you could think of, and I was drunk. And he said, I went to the toilet to throw up. And he said, brothers, Allah, listen to this. Listen to how important this is. He says, as I went into the toilet, I tripped. And by the way, I'm not religious. I know nothing about religion. So I only have one uncle which is distant that I know that knows anything about deen, about religion. He says, but bro, he's like, he was born into a Shia household, but they're not practicing whatsoever. He says, bro, as soon as I was tripping, I was about to trip and fall on the floor, I said, Ya Allah. And I thought to myself, how can I say? What is Allah? Why did I just mention this name? Why did I just mention Allah in the toilet as I'm tripping in this state that I'm in? And then he says, and he begins to question himself. He says, oh, I mentioned him, therefore I know him. So wait, I know him, and I'm still doing what I'm doing. So then he began to continue to question himself. How can I be doing what I'm doing? How can I be acting the way I'm acting? Well, and I know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he says, Muhammad, wallah, since that day, bro, I left that scene. I went to my uncle, which is the only religious person I know, and I asked him to teach me how to pray, and he began to pray. So this bala he was going through, and wallah, today now he's a hajj, he's been to hajj a couple of times, and he's been to ziyarah a couple of times, and he's one of the most pious and modest and religious people I know. And he's very well respected in the community he's from. So it does, bala, hardship does really, it paves your future, it paves your way. How many brothers do we know that they went through so much hardship, they lost a brother, they lost a friend, they lost that, and then they realized, man, we've got to wake up to ourselves. We've got to realize what we're doing is wrong. We've got to change. So bala does do that, it does correct your path. Now the third positive aspect of hardship, the third positive aspect of going through bala and trials, and this is extremely important as well, and I don't want to emphasize because I don't want to take up too much of your time, is the compensation hereafter. When we go through bala, brothers and sisters, when we go through bala, don't think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts me through a trial and forgets about it. Don't think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts me through a hard time and forgets about it. There are many ahadith, plenty of ahadith that I can mention right now that talks about specific compensation for every single bala that you go through. There's at least 15 ahadith that speak about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you in return for when He takes away your trial. There are many ahadith about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does for you when you go through a miscarriage, which is a bala, which is a hardship. When you're sick, for example. For example, to understand this compensation, to understand, you might come and say, yeah, okay, I get it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me back in hereafter. But I want in this dunya. I tell you, yeah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the difference between us and the imams, or us and at least the pious men, the scholars, is that when we come and look at the hardship we go through, we understand it's hard, it's a rough time, and we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please get me out of this hardship, please ease my way. And we expect it to be sudden, we expect it to be quick, we expect it to be, fast delivery, quick delivery. I ask today, I want it done tomorrow. I ask for rak'ah today, I want it tomorrow. I'm sick today, I want it, straight away I want to be healthy. Whereas when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the way He treats us is different. He says, I know what you want, and I know what you need. And I know if I give you this right now, you're going to misuse it. I know if I give you this rizq that you're asking for right now, you're going to misuse it. I know. There's a beautiful hadith that says, the reason a man asks the Prophet, says, why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me so much bala? And the Holy Prophet answers in this way, says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts the mu'min in hardship, and the main reason is so he can hear his dua. Because he loves to hear that woman's dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves to hear the cries of a believer. He loves to hear him whisper at night and cry and do dua at night and pray. He loves it. So he puts him through bala so he can hear his servant. So for example, I'll give you a story. Imagine I'm going to Australia right now. I leave London, I'm going to Australia, and I have a transit flight, for example, in France or Abu Dhabi. My flight is a 24-hour flight. My transit is for 2 hours or 3 hours in Abu Dhabi. I get there, I arrive to Abu Dhabi. And they come and tell me, oh, your flight has been delayed for 20 hours. It's a hardship, it's hard, it's not easy. First thing I do is begin to scream, get angry at everyone. Why is my flight delayed for 20 hours? And I begin to blame every single human being that's in front of my way, and you know, especially if you smoke and you can't smoke, and just everything becomes hard. And you start telling Allah, why me, why me? And you start questioning him. Let's tweak it a bit, let's change the story a bit. Let's say he comes to you and tells you, okay, you're going to be stuck in this airport for another 20 hours. But for every hour you spend, we give you $5,000. What happens now? We can tell you, give me more. You know? Make me stay more in this place. Let me stay for 100 hours. And then he comes and tells you, wait a second, let me tweak it a bit. For every hour you stay, and every slap that I get to hit you, I'll give you $10,000. He tells me, keep slapping me. Keep me longer and keep slapping me. The reason is because I can taste the compensation of this hardship. Because I know I'm going through a hard time, but because I can already count the money, you know, I can count the money for the hardship that I'm going through. The difference with dunya and akhirah is we can't see that. The difference between here and now and this one and hereafter is I can't see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised me in Jannah. So it becomes much harder for me to be patient. It becomes much harder for me. That's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala focuses so much in the Holy Quran about believing in the unseen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alif Lam Mim. It continues, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the mu'min. He's saying this mu'min is the one who believes in the unseen. And then upholds his prayers. And then establishes his prayers. Because what's the point of me praying? And we spoke about prayer for a 2 nights. What's the point of me praying if I don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What's the point of me praying if I don't believe in the compensation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What's the point of it? Why pray? Sallallahu Muhammad wa alayhi. Another story, this is of a scholar. He was a bit older, he was a bit old. And he kept on asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless him with a son. Because he really wanted the child, he really wanted the son. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a beautiful story of Allah. Always touches me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he answers his call, and he blesses him and grants him a son. You know? And then his son grows up, and his scholar falls in love with his son. Like he's got passion towards his son. And he's so close to him. To the extent where everyone knows that he's close to his son. To the extent everyone knows how much he loves his son. One day he was sitting down and he was giving a class, he was teaching. And as he's teaching, a man comes to him and he tells him his son has passed away. So he continues to preach, he continues to finish his lecture. Once he finishes, completely, doesn't change, he doesn't do anything. Once he finishes his lecture, he invites everyone that's at the lecture to the burial of his son. He has just passed away, and I want you to all come to the dafn, the janazah of my son. A man comes to him and he tells him, his friend, he tells him, you didn't even change your facial expression to your son. And we all know how much you love him. Why did you not change? He says, as soon as he told me that my son passed away, I did get affected and it hurt me. But then I realized that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I prayed so much that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me and blesses me with his son. And I fell in love with him so much. And then I realized that maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saw me falling in love with someone so much, and He missed me connecting only to Him. He doesn't want me to love anyone as much as I love Him. So He took my son away from me to see how much do I really love Him. So I said, Alhamdulillah. Inna ma'al usri yusra. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, surely with hardship comes ease. Another place, Inna min ba'd al-usri yusra. Surely after hardship comes ease. Never ease comes before hardship. It's always either it comes with hardship or it comes after hardship. So this scholar, he prayed and he went through hardship, and then he realized, Alhamdulillah, my love connects only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You find that when it comes to bala, the concept of hardship, it's extremely important that we don't look at hardship as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishing me. That's when we fall into the trap of the shaitan. When we begin to ask, why me, O Allah? Why me? Imam Salih alayhi salam, what does he say?
Muhammad.
He says, Inna ashadda an-nasu bala'an humul anbiya. The most people that suffered from hardship, the most people that went through trials and tribulations were the holy of the prophets. وَمِن بَعْدِهِمْ الْأَوْلِيَاء. And after them, the imams. And the people that were pious and pious after them, the more pious after them. So the scholars and all. So you find that even with the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what does he say? He says, Allahumma salli ala. He says, مَا أُوذِيَ نَبِيٌّ مِثْلَ مَا أُوذِيَ. No prophet was hurt as much as I was. And that's why we find Khatam al-Anbiya, Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was the most special and he was the most perfect creation of all mankind. But he says there was no man, no prophet that went through hardship as much as I did. So hardship is what let Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam claim that stance. Because if it was anyone else, no one would be able to understand or comprehend or handle the hardship that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam helped or handled. And that's why, come back to the topic now, that's why you find Sayyidina Zainab alayhi salam when asked about Karbala, he says, how do you see, how do you perceive what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala done to your brother Hussein? She says, and after she images, and she sees and she remembers the tragedies of Karbala. She remembers what happened to her brother Hussein alayhi salam. She remembers what happened to Abu Fadl Abbas alayhi salam. She remembers what happened to Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam and her sons and. But because there's a bigger picture here, because Islam was depending on the revolution of Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam. If it wasn't for the revolution of Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam, there would be nothing to save humanity. Nothing to save humanity from falling off the path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was going to demolish the name of Islam. So she says what Allah's will is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. She says what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's message is. And she says this is greater than anything. It's greater than any trial that I've been through. It's greater than any hardship that I've been through. And she says, مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. I saw nothing but beauty. She said, because beauty in this context, beauty in this scenario, isn't what I want. It's not what I feel towards my brother or my family. It's what Allah wants, subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's what Allah demands, and that's establishing Islam and keeping the name of Islam upheld and creating warriors, creating people that fall in love with Shahada through the name of Sayyid al-Shuhada Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam. And another person that showed us the beauty of perception and how to perceive things in the correct context is Al-Qasim alayhi salam. You find Al-Qasim, the son of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, what did he do? Imam Hassan alayhi salam comes in and asks him, he tells him, Ya Qasim, كيف تجد طعم الموت? So how do you see the taste of death? What is death to you, Ya Qasim? He tells him, Wallah, Ya Am, I swear to you, by Allah, I see it more beautiful and sweeter than honey. Because death in itself, yeah, it's scary, it's tragedy. But when it comes to being a shaheed by the side of Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam, the context has changed. When it comes to becoming a shaheed for Islam, the context changes. Life changes, everything changes. My perception towards death is different. It becomes holy, it becomes sacred. And that's how all those companions of Abu Abdullah Hussein saw that. They saw it beautiful. They saw the beauty of al-istishhad, martyrdom by the side of Abu Abdullah Hussein. So they'd go and ask Abu Abdullah Hussein, Ya Abu Abdullah, give us permission to go and fight. And he'd say, yes, go fight. But when Al-Qasim alayhi salam, brothers and sisters, you have to understand, the Russians say he was 13 years old, 14 years old. When Al-Qasim alayhi salam comes forward, a young man, and the narrations say there was no armor to fit Al-Qasim. No armor can fit him. You know, you see now, the fathers here may understand and the mothers may understand. You see now your son, when he walks and he wears your shoes, you know, it's like 15 times bigger than his body. You see him when he's walking, you find that it's cute. Al-Qasim alayhi salam, 13 years old, no armor fits him. So when he's wearing the armor, the narrations say, it's close to hitting the ground. When he's wearing the helmet, he can barely see. When he's holding the sword, he can barely hold it. That's how heavy it was. So Al-Qasim comes to Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam and he tells him, Ya Am, adhan li bil-qital. Give me permission, let me go fight for you. And he tells him, no, you are what's left for my brother Hassan. Ya Qasim, I need you. I want you to stay by my side. Then Qasim watches the companions go one by one, and then he sees Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam, he goes, he's martyred. You have to understand, Qasim, brothers and sisters, he was one of the last people to be a shaheed. He was the last, one of the last to be martyred in Karbala. So he was one of the last people to hear Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam screaming, هل من ناصر ينصرنا. One of the last people to hear this from his Imam. Is there anyone to come and stand by our side? هل من ذاب يذب عن حرم رسول الله. Is there anyone to come and stand by the side of the women of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the daughters and the granddaughters of Rasulullah? هل من موحد يخاف الله فينا. هل من معين يرجو ما عند الله في إعانته. He begins to call upon the mu'min, calls upon the people, to see if there's anyone going to reply to Abu Abdullah. And then you hear a young man, a young soldier screaming, لبيك يا عم يا أبا عبد الله Oh my uncle, this is Qasim, my brothers and sisters. Qasim screams out, Ya Aba Abdullah, please let me fight for you. He comes towards Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Hussein looks at him and he takes him to his chest. He hugs him and he tells him, Ya ibn akhi, anta al-baqiyatu min akhi al-Hasan. فلا أحب أن أعرضك لضرب السيوف. He tells him, my nephew, you are what's left from my brother Hassan, and I don't want to put you in front of the swords. I don't want you to die, Ya Qasim. And then he replies, Sayyidi wa Mawlai, خذ مني هذه الوصية. He tells him, my master, take from me this will. He takes it, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam opens this paper, and then he finds that it is a letter from his brother Imam al-Hassan, and it's telling him, أخي أبا عبد الله أذل ولد القاسم بالشهادة بين يديك. The letter writes, oh my brother Abu Abdullah, let my son fight for you and be martyred by your side. وكأنه يقول اسمح لي بأن أكون شريكا معك في كربلاء. Even Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam wants to be by the side of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. He sends his son, and it's as if Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam speaks to his brother. Ya Khuya, Ya Khuya, Ya Khuya, Ya Khuya, Ya Khuya, Ya Khuya, Ya Khuya الحسن أنا حسين بمحنة اليوم أشكيلك أوليان مشتغلنا كل قاسم بالوفا مثيلك بالطف من نظر اليوم وانا بضيق ناديلك صاحب صوت عد عينك لفديلك يا عم الروح. يا خويا يا خويا يا خويا Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, it's as if he's telling his brother al-Hassan, oh my brother, come see what has befallen me in Karbala. Come see where have we become. I have to send your son Qasim today to fight these enemies of Allah. My brother, I wish you were next to me. My brother, don't watch what is about to happen to me. نظر الحسين إلى القاسم نظرة عطف ورحمة. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam looks at al-Qasim. He looks at him with a merciful and beautiful and loving look. وسالت دموعه على خده كأني به تذكر يوم رحيل أخيه الحسن وهو ينفض كبده. Imam al-Hussein begins to cry. Imam al-Hussein begins to cry. His tears begin to fall onto his cheeks. It's as if he remembers when his brother al-Hassan left them, when he was spitting out his liver. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam kneels. He goes towards al-Qasim. He hugs him. Al-Qasim alayhi salam goes back to the tent. He wants to follow his mother Awla. أراد القاسم أن يودع أمه وعمته. أحاطنا به من كل جانب. Brothers and sisters, imagine this scene. He enters the tent. His mother's on his right. His auntie Zainab's on his left. The children of Rasulullah are next to him. His cousins, his family. This is a 13-year-old boy, brothers and sisters. He sends his farewell to the family. He looks up on Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam. He tells him, farewell, my brother. Zainab alayhi salam. She looks towards Al-Qasim and she tells him, my son, my nephew Qasim, when you go and fight and be martyred, and you go towards your father Hassan. Brothers and sisters, this is a young sister talking to her older brother. What does she tell him? She tells Qasim to tell her brother Hassan, I send you my salams, my brother, and know that I am a stranger in Karbala. وقل له إني أمسيت غريبا غريبا. And Qasim alayhi salam farewells his auntie. He goes down to the battlefield. He prepares himself. Muslim, Hamid ibn Muslim, he says, خرج إلينا غلام وجهه كالقمر. He narrates, he says, a young man comes and runs towards us and he looks like the moon. And he begins to fight like a warrior, and he begins to say, إن تنكروني فأنا نجل الحسن صبت النبي المصطفى المؤتمن هذا حسين كالأسير المرتهن بين أناس لا سقى صوب المزن. He says, do you reject me? Do you know who I am? I am the son of Al-Hassan. I am the grandson of Rasulullah. This is my uncle Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. You have taken him as if he is a captive. وبينما يقاتلهم قتال الأبطال. He continues to fight them as a fearsome warrior he is, and he is very thirsty, he is very young. Brothers and sisters, I tried to explain to you that Al-Qasim alayhi salam, no armor would fit Al-Qasim. The shoes would not fit Al-Qasim alayhi salam. Many warriors began to run at him. They began to attack him from many different angles. And as he's running, his lace is ripped, and he trips onto the floor. He wants to get up and fix his lace and continue fighting. He goes down to fix his lace, and then a man comes and he wants to take this to his advantage. And then he screams, Wallahi la uthkilanna bihi amma. I want to make fun of his uncle. فجاءه من خلفه وضربه بالسيف على رأسه. He comes from behind Al-Qasim. He hits Al-Qasim on the head. فوقع مناديا يا عمار. Al-Qasim alayhi salam falls onto the ground. He begins to scream, my uncle, Ya Abu Abdullah, adrikni, come to me, alayka minni salam. فلما سمع الحسين, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, when he hears the cries of Qasim, he runs towards him. He hits the man who struck al-Qasim. He looks at Qasim, a 13-year-old boy. He is covered with his own blood. He tells him, وَقَالَ عَزَّ وَاللَّهُ عَلَىٰ عَمْرِكَ أَن تَدْعُوهُ فَلَا يُجِيبُكَ أو يجيبك فلا يعينك أو يعينك فلا يغني عنك. He says, it hurts me, my uncle, it hurts me, Al-Qasim, that you call upon me and I don't answer, or I answer and I can't help, or if I can help but it's too late. بكى ونادى يا جاسم ايش بيدي، يا ريت السيف يا ريت السيف قبلك حز وريدي. القاسم, what can I do? I wish the sword struck me before it struck you. أراد الحسين أن يرفع القاسم من الخيمة. Brothers and sisters, Al-Hussein alayhi salam holds Al-Qasim. He wants to take him back to the tent of the martyrs. He وضع صدره على صدره. He puts his chest onto his chest. He holds him towards the tent. Imagine this. You're holding your nephew and he's all covered in his own blood. He's 13 years old and you try to hold him, but his legs are hitting the ground. He's not able to hold his nephew Al-Qasim on his arm. Brothers and sisters, imagine this scene. Now he puts Al-Qasim next to Al-Akbar alayhi salam. He puts the Al-Qasim next to Al-Akbar in the tent, his son and his nephew, and he lays down between them. He lays down between Al-Qasim and Al-Akbar alayhi salam. But he doesn't know who to look at. He looks at Al-Akbar and he's dead. He has been shredded to pieces. He looks at Al-Qasim, his nephew, and he's shredded to pieces. Abu Abdullah Al-Hussein, his heart is now shredded into pieces. He's lost his nephew, he's lost his son, he's lost everyone that's near and close to him. Abu Abdullah Al-Hussein alayhi salam, you were there to carry Al-Qasim from the battlefield into the tent. You were there to put your chest on the chest of Al-Qasim. Abu Abdullah, I want to ask you, who stood on your chest on the 10th day of Muharram, on the afternoon of Ashura, who sat on your chest? Brothers and sisters, the ahadith that they narrate, that Shimr La'natullahi alayh, when he wanted to come and behead and decapitate Abu Abdullah Al-Hussein, he began to cut and sever his head from the back of his neck. He wouldn't do it from the front because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi kissed the neck of Abu Abdullah Al-Hussein, and the sword and the dagger and the spears could not cut the neck of Abu Abdullah, so they had to decapitate Abu Abdullah Al-Hussein from his neck. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alayka
اعذرني يا صاحب الزمان، يعز علينا أن نذكر جدك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين. O صاحب الزمان, forgive us. These are 10 nights where we remember the tragedy of your grandfather Abu Abdullah, and we know you are the one to come back and reappear and ask for his revenge. You avenge the death of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and it hurts you to hear the tragedies that befall Abu Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل بيت محمد بأي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. Brothers and sisters, let's raise our hands in dua for the brothers and sisters, the Shia, the Mu'mineen, all the ones who are oppressed in the overseas, especially in countries like Yemen, in Burma, in Pakistan, in Syria, in Palestine. Let's raise our hands and pray for them all together 5 times. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amman yujibul mudtarra idha da'a. Amman yujibul ويكشف السوء. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف. يا الله 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 بحق فاطمة وأبيها ووالها ومسلم المستوجب. اللهم ارحمنا برحمتك الواسعة يا الله. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا واعف عنا وعافنا بالنبي وآله